recording? I was waiting for that just before you started talking. Yeah. I've done enough Zooms to know that, uh-oh, it's not working.
Well, welcome along. And so this will be recorded as part of the Heart to Hearts YouTube conversations, which I haven't done any of this year. So I'm really happy because we were going to try and do it in November, I think, but things are really like piling up at that point.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so Rachel is an amazing NLP therapist, just an amazing human being, actually. I just want to kind of backtrack on that. So she does NLP, but she also does an awful lot else. And one of the big things that she's taken on in the last few years has been really coordinating with another person for the PHA in New Zealand and getting hubs up and running and really supporting a whole lot of people in many ways, including your interviews on a Wednesday night quite often. So I wasn't sure if have you been interviewed?
For the Wellness Wednesdays.
Well,
Yes.
just at all.
Oh, yes, I've done quite a few. I've not done anything for the last 6 months. It's all just been a bit too intense. But yes, I've done interviews for other people.
Right.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it was also interviewed for NLP for the Wellness Wednesday, which was interesting. Yeah.
Oh, fabulous. I see I have to catch up.
Thank you for that, Sarah. That's really kind of you to say that.
Well, yeah, and that was only the beginning because really also you're a mother and you're a very accomplished woman who is actually just taking the bull by the horns and creating an entire new life for yourself, which is really inspiring and you're just doing it with so much grace and love. And I got to meet you through Deb. So that was to do with Lay Love Down, talking to you about that and about going out onto the land and bringing our love into those spaces. And I loved that it was something that tickled you as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that, Layla. I love it. I love it because I can feel the energy, and that's a new thing for me the last year or two, sensing energy. So yeah, Layla Downs, yeah, definitely my thing.
Yeah, and we've had a couple of little adventures, which has been fun. So yeah, so it's a real pleasure to actually finally get to talk to you properly and for you to be the first person I talked to this year and kind of resuming this because it was always intended to be about creating a catalogue um, of interviews with people who are local that other people, when they realize that they're not getting what they need from the health system, will start looking outside of themselves for something different. So really, this is a great opportunity to try and like get the message out about what you offer and what you provide in terms of support for the PHA as well. But yeah, you're doing an awful lot of things. You've got a lot of hats. So forgetting all of that, we just really want to know about you, Rachel.
It's interesting because now I'm at the stage that I'm finally finding myself. And again, some of your viewers might know, but going through a divorce, and again, because that this was me stepping into my divine feminine and being with somebody who couldn't understand why I was doing PHA, was embarrassed that I was going um, against the normal thing to do, and create something that was like a parallel health system, or to nudge people into creating something that was different to what we used to. He just couldn't tolerate that, and it got to the point where I just had to leave the relationship because I was permanently being quashed and put down, and he was having an effect on my kids with the comments that he was making. And I just had to, yeah. But my kids are older, so that's, they've just turned 20 and 17. So now's the time, and I've been in this little temporary tiny home. I'm only here for a few months while I find somewhere else, but I'm really, I now have the time to be still, to, who am I? What is it that I want? Yes, I'm doing all these things, but how does it look to me? And know and trust that as I'm still and pondering things, that the answers are there. We just don't usually have time, or I didn't usually have time before this, to sit down and wonder what how do I work smarter? How do I achieve the things that I want to achieve and make them happen? I don't get paid for the PHA. Lexi doesn't get paid for the PHA. So we are coordinators for the PHA, and we fit that in with our weeks and trying to find work and keep working. I'm freelance as well, so I've constantly got to keep work coming in. But yeah, it's been beautiful, those moments where, wow, now I have the time to be still, to go in and trust my intuition and trust that I've done many lifetimes before for the lifetime that I'm in now. And that's been a beautiful thing, to actually realize that, and to notice that through the last 8 months have been ridiculously difficult, with getting the house ready to sell and selling the house, and my ex not stepping up whatsoever. In fact, he went away on a last minute holiday for 5 weeks and left me to look after the kids and sort the house out. And I thought he was joking, and he wasn't. But I realized through it all, oh my gosh, look at the amazing women in my life who are holding space for me and just turning up to kind of check I'm okay, to guide me, to pick up and help me on a day when it's difficult, and to keep saying, like, you don't look at yourself and think how much you've achieved. It's the reflection of others that makes you stop and go, oh, is that not normal? When they say, my gosh, look at what you've achieved, when you're in it, you don't take that time to pause. And I think there's a gratitude for the women around me, and a few guys. There's a few good guys, but to know that you can sense that this time that we're in now, that beautiful rise of the divine feminine, I can really feel it and sense it, and it's a wonderful thing.
Well, it's beautiful because in a way, like everyone's doing it in their own story, but you can really see with your journey in the last few years, like, it's like you just had this shell that had to be cracked open, and how much you've had to let go of things to move forward. And yet you're doing it, in a really heart-centered way. You've got so much time and joy in your relationship to others. Like, I think that's the first thing I noticed when I met you, was like your enthusiasm about actually getting to know somebody else. And there's a lot of people who, are locked away in their own shell, and they don't want to. They're terrified of coming out and doing all these things, but you're just arms wide open, heart wide open. So I'm not surprised you've got an immense tribe of quality women around you.
Oh, thank you for saying that. I'm me. And I think for the first time in my whole life, probably the last year more so, it's good to be me. Like, I realize that we're all different. We've all got this experience, and why, as a child and younger, even, that's through the early years of my marriage, it was a case of, don't rock the boat, be what they want you to be, do what you should be doing. Yes, be a good mom, do this, do that. But I was not being me, and it feels good. So if I meet someone, I don't worry anymore if I'm going to be asking the right questions or the wrong questions, or should I be quiet, or should I let them speak, or if I'm intrigued, I just let that curious side come out, and all of those other worries have fallen away, which is, and there were a lot of them, a lot of these voices, internal voices. Don't say that, don't ask that, that's rude. It's not, actually. We're all human beings. If I'm excited to see someone or have a conversation, I will. Yeah.
Yeah, there's an
Lovely that you picked
immense
up on that.
a freedom that comes from, when, especially when you've been in a relationship. It doesn't have to be a personal, intimate relationship, but when you free yourself from those,
Sorry.
especially the external forces that start to it's better, we can see you.
Yeah, sorry.
But when you free yourself from the external forces that come with relationships um, that just don't fit anymore, it's not that that they're bad people, any of that stuff. They just literally don't fit. And also growing enough compassion to be able to say, like, I love you. I really want you to have your experience of growth, but
Mm.
I'm just going to be over here doing mine.
Yes, and it was, for me, it was, I had to be the brave one and just say, look, because it wasn't working for me at all. I was just like, it was as if I had three kids. I had two kids and a husband, but he just wanted to be mothered. He just wanted me to do everything, and there was nothing else. And it was to be brave. And yes, I was worried I was going to hurt him, but to say, no, there's more to this. I'm suffocating inside. I can't be who I'm meant to be. You scowl and complain. You just want me to sit and watch TV, which I can't do, and I've not watched TV for years. You just want me to be there without expanding or growing. You just want me to be home, dinner cooked. Couldn't do that anymore. And I think he's still hurting, but it was the kind of thing to do.
Mm.
And for my kids as well, my kids knew when we sat them down and we said, hey, we're going to divorce. Like, I think he was expecting them to be, gutted, and they looked at each other, laughed, fist bumped each other and said, called it, and walked off. This is like, oh my gosh, we are worrying that we are traumatizing our children because we're announcing that we're getting divorced, and sense it anyway. Maybe
Yeah.
it wasn't working.
Well, that's a gift in itself, isn't it?
I know. So I can be honest and open now and saying, hey, I've not divorced before. We're doing this for the first time. Yes, we might be, both of us, me and your dad, might have grumpy days. And then we might not have, we might have days where we can be honest and open and talk to you about what we're experiencing. And it's, we've been together as long as we have for them,
Yeah.
so that, we didn't have the financial stresses, that they could still do the things that they wanted to do. Yeah. But it feels good to, to say this is right.
Mm.
It's going to happen.
I think it's very timely too, because there's a lot of people, I'm finding that there's a lot of people around me who are really being super challenged, and and women, like, you don't have to be awake to spiritual things to be living from your heart space and going out there and basically putting other people first a lot. In fact, that's kind of the opposite of what we want to do now, because we want to put ourselves first and then be the example so that other people can learn how to do for themselves. But I feel like there's going to be a lot of people, both men and women, who are going to be leaving relationships,
Mm.
um, or friendships, whatever that is. And definitely for family dynamics, just needing to be able to step back and say, like you said, it's the first time I'm doing this, and having some compassion for themselves, and knowing that there's people like you. I mean, I went through the same thing, but a long time ago. Like, but that it's actually great. It's actually like when you finally do it and make the decision, the relief is immense. You suddenly give yourself this, like you said, you felt like you were suffocating. And once you finally kind of put your cards on the table and say, can't do it, and somebody says, okay, well, we won't do it anymore, it is
Mm.
this incredible sigh of relief that comes. Like, you can breathe again and there is more life in you.
Yeah. And I think the interesting, it would have been nice if it did happen that way, but there was a few years because then COVID hit. So then we kind of hung together,
It's tricky.
angry, and it was a difficult few years. And then it was only May last year when finally there was time and space that we could, okay, this is it.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, lots of learnings in the process.
Yeah. It's an amazing little incubator to put yourselves in.
And to grow the PHA in that time, I think that was my
Yeah.
saving grace.
Well, I mean, it's nice to have the distraction as well. And it's not just distraction, it's like planting seeds, isn't it? Like, that there's something better, but you can't sit there and wait for it to appear. You've got to go out and do something about it, and you really put your money where your mouth is and got stuck in. And so the PHA, how's it going in New Zealand now? Because I get so super excited about seeing where the hubs are at.
It's really wonderful. It's I feel like I've dropped the balls on the PHA over the last 8 months just because of everything I've had to do, but it's still growing and building. There's still amazing people. We've got hubs of all different sizes. And then we've got people who are part of the PHA that don't have a hub around them, but then will offer services um, for a discounted rate to PHA members and are still part of
Yeah.
PHA. And we're ready to take it up a notch. You know, yes, we don't get paid and things take time, but it's gone really well. Like my local hub, that was the first hub that was started, probably because as I was getting so excited about the PHA and this is possible, and if we all come together. So it happened, and it happened in response to the West Auckland floods. It happened the same time as the Hawke's Bay floods, and it was like, right now, let's just start.
Yeah.
And we started in a hall, and it's still flourishing. I was there Tuesday gone, and there was, oh my gosh, I think there was like 18 practitioners at the hub on that day, and such a variety of people. And it's not, each hub is not the same thing. And we're
Mm.
constantly evolving. It's like an ebb and flow of what is a hub, and a hub here in Oratia will be different to St. John's in the city, or um, Waiheke. Um, it's the people that come together that make the hub. And sometimes a hub might just be a group of people that come together for coffee to plan what the
Yeah.
hub's going to look like. It can be anything and everything, but it's a wonderful network of people. And today I've just been to Taupaki Hub, which is a smaller hub. And again, we've got those challenges as how do you build individual hubs when you don't have an advertising budget or somebody paid
Mm.
full-time or part-time to be out there spreading the word. But people are coming in, and there's people that do come in, you can just see them blossom. Like a woman came in today, and I'd seen her about 4 months ago, and she said, oh, I remember you, like an older woman, and she's got a little bit of a memory problem and she can't find her words. And because of that one visit to the hub, she'd gone home that day, talked to her husband. Her husband came straight in that day and saw a cranial osteopath, which alleviated the issues that he'd had in his ears and head and neck. He'd not had relief even from the years of seeing specialists. And then we've helped her grandson. And she'd come in today, and she crocheted all these kind of little people. And it's a health hub, but she's crocheted these little people, and now they're on the desk at the hub for people to purchase and give a koha to go towards treatments for people who may not be able to afford a treatment when they come in. And that's what it's about. It's about who comes in, what do they bring. It's holding space, a sense of community. And half the time it's just the people in the community know that it's there.
Yeah. And I think that comes from showing up, because I was thinking about that when you're talking about the advertising and things. And I mean, just from my own experience of running a clinic, I spent a lot of money on advertising for a long time, and it was such a rort. Like,
Mm,
I wasn't getting as much business as I was paying for advertising.
mm,
And that was, using Google and all those things.
mm.
And honestly, like, I think over the years, I've learned that if you just keep showing up, people will come. But I think you also have to be realistic and give it, like, sometimes it's a couple of years. You have to just keep plugging away. But I love that now you have to make an appointment sometimes to get a treatment. That's amazing.
Yes, well, some people are just so busy.
Yeah,
And some days there were people at the end of the session that there was no room for them. So now it's make appointments. It's
yeah.
brilliant.
It's beautiful. Well, I mean, because that supports the practitioners as well.
Yes. And that's the key. And that's what's lovely about having lots of different practitioners. Those people who are in demand still show up, They offer their services on a PHA hub day. They still give discounted rates. And then people have a choice. If they can't get in to see that person for a couple of weeks, if they do have the money, they can go and see them
Yeah,
privately
that's
and pay
right.
their usual
Yeah.
rates. But they can wait and have a discounted rate. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a really big difference. I know that we had a small hub running in Onehunga for a wee while. And again, you know, the problem is that you do need to have somewhere that you can consistently be. But, you know, even just, yeah, seeing what you need to maintain the cohesion of the practitioner group and the people who are kind of doing that part.
Mm.
As well as just, yeah, having that option for people who haven't got a lot to be able to come in, even if it's sometimes it was just a cup of tea and a conversation.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about the hubs that have some hubs have that space where you've got an area where there's food, you can make teas, people can go and help themselves. And like for Oratia, when that first started, the amount of people that would come and they would bring friends with them and their friends would have sessions, but they were just happy to sit in this kind of waiting area, watching everything that was going on and just feel the energy. They
Mm.
could sense this beautiful energy just from being in this large open space. I mean, yes, we had dividers up so some people weren't seen, but it's that simple. It's creating a place where people can come and they feel a connection and they feel seen
Yeah.
and they
And
feel part
safe,
of it. Yeah, they're there,
not coerced.
not coerced, and it's exciting for them because they can see the potential in what's there. They can see what's there and get excited about that, but they know that there's bigger things on the horizon, and that's
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, there's some amazing, I mean, some of these women, and I don't know, are there any male practitioners? Have we got any in Auckland? We do, yay. So
Yeah,
I can't say exclusively female, but there's some amazing people that, you know, put a lot of work in and are really committed to this. And that gives me so much hope because I really don't see a future for any other type of healthcare provision. Like, I mean, I really want hospitals to be there when we need them.
yeah.
But, you know, like really we need to flip that all upside down and there needs to be a lot more focus on keeping people well.
Yes, yes. Like going back to cottage hospitals, which is the long-term aim of PHA, and whether it's PHA or not, because for me, it's not about PHA, it's about us as a society and communities that come together actually just take back. We have our voice heard, and what is it that we want? But we don't want these large hospitals where we go in and we're treated like we're just like a something like a cattle,
Mm.
and you don't have a say. They just give you things when you're in surgery. You didn't ask for them, but it's just their protocol because they get paid to give you them. It's all of those things, and let's bring it back so that it's small. Let hospital be, if you need to go into hospital, what about if it's a nurturing environment? You go in for a hip replacement, but you have, Reiki and acupuncture and other natural healers that can assist you in the preparation for the surgery, but the recovery of the surgery and nourishing food. Imagine.
Yes, I know. And it's just like this ever expanding, you know, possibility
Yeah.
of like everyone, there's lots, and it's not like it's the first time that people have come up with these ideas, but I think it is the first time that we have had such numbers of people who are willing to actually do something and not because you know, the alternative at the moment is that if we keep handing our power over, you know, they're rapidly trying to take it all. And what I love is that when you decide that you're not, and you're not engaging with that anymore, you actually start to exist in an entirely different reality. And I think that's what you're doing. Was that thunder?
It's thunder and it's heavy rain, so I hope that's not interfering. I hope you can still
No,
hear it.
no.
Um, and that's right. It's you have to, not have to, um, enough people now in so many areas of what we have to deal with as a community. Enough people are saying, no, stop, it's stop. Like, the rates, where do our rates go? I know so many people now who are asking questions that never asked those questions a year ago, that are getting a little bit tired of, local council-owned buildings going to rack and ruin and not being used, and then the council trying to sell them off. Well, hang on a minute, they're our buildings.
Yeah.
Yet if we want to use it for a hub, we have to pay. There should be more services. The services that are being cut, that's not okay either. We're taking in the school system, like so many things where people are saying, look, enough.
Yeah.
People are starting in every area, which as a mycelium network, that we are creating. Okay, it's just PHA, but it's not just PHA. It's planting seeds for people to actually go, okay, well, how can I make a difference? Well, if I get up off the sofa, what is it that I want to see change? Okay, well, I'll start there. And it's just about starting something.
Yeah, it is. And it doesn't have to, you don't have to get it right. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to succeed on the first try. Like all of those things. What I was just thinking about when we were talking then was that the weird journey that humanity or civilization, if we are, that we've taken from becoming quite, I think from my perspective, coming from quite like a small place and then becoming more opened up to the world, which all happened through kind of capitalism and all of these other things that were happening without, real understanding from people. And now we've got, because there is a really big aspect of this is how international this whole movement is. There's so many people in so many different places all doing the same things, maybe under a different banner. But so then we're coming from the outside of that really kind of global view, and we're really getting more focused on coming back into our little communities again. And that's so exciting. I mean, it's exciting I don't even have young children anymore, but I'm excited for when my children have children, because I can see that those children are going to have just something that wasn't available for my children.
Yeah. And I think that younger generation as well, I have a feeling that they come in with a knowing, and they're going to take whatever changes we are implementing now, and they're going to be moving bigger and faster than we ever have. And I can sense that, and it's exciting. Because
Yeah, well, it gives us
again,
hope for our children, doesn't it? Because we can see,
yes.
I always say to the kids, like, you weren't born for this world, but that's a pretty hopeless kind of thing to say to people who are not seeing any possibility of the world that they haven't even bothered trying to imagine in the last 5 years, because it has felt so impossible. And they've been coming out, like you said, coming out of a school system, coming out of this, all these places where they were told what to think, when to be there, all those things. And now I'm like, oh, you guys have to pick up the mantle and run with it. But the telepathy tapes has given me great hope. And I really feel like when they talk about the young people being the real change makers for us, I feel like it is a lot of the times it's going to be these really niche kind of communities of people who have incredible abilities that have been totally squashed and silenced.
Yes. And I think that's I think it's almost our job. Yes, we are starting to make changes and have conversations to make change. And we are talking about what we want to see. But the very fact that we're having those conversations, I think we are the space holders as well. And we are the people to encourage the young as they come through. We'll see it. And to be able to kind of hold them in a way to allow them to experiment and try these ideas that they're coming in with. I think that's the key as well. We are going to be those people that allow them and
Mhm.
encourage. in a way that we never were. Because I know when I come out of school, it was that older generation saying, "Oh, well, you know nothing. You might have a degree, but you know nothing yet." And
Yeah, your Weet-Bix degrees was the big one. Oh, one of those Weet-Bix degrees.
but we get to do things differently. And I know that the school system is failing so many. My son would refuse to go back for the final year. Um, and then he got a place at music college, but they won't take him because he's quite young. So he has to wait another year. It's just, they know that it's not working. They know that they're frustrated. He's smart, but it's boring.
Yeah.
And I have to stay back and trust that it's his journey. I can't fill in the gaps or panic or try and get him somewhere. It's like, okay, he's not showing any interest. Let's just see where this
Yeah.
goes. He's got to figure this out.
Well, and they do, and it's such a joy when you get to watch them really start to kind of decide for themselves, even if it's not big things or, you know, trying to accomplish all of that, because realistically, we don't need to worry about accomplishing all these things. It's not the purpose of being here, but we are here to really learn about who we are and to come into community and work together towards, a collective goal. And as we've been talking, I just keep thinking a lot of my spiritual team, there's a group called the Peace Mothers. And as we're talking, and I'm like, oh, well, of course we are the Peace Mothers, because we are holding that space in a peaceful, graceful way to say, okay, we trust you. We trust that you're going to find the place that you need to be. And we know that you've got it within you. And it's actually a lot easier to do that for our children than it is to do it for ourselves sometimes.
Right, it's key. That's exactly what I feel we are. It's to help them to trust what is in and to have a think. What does it feel like? Does that feel? And to let them make mistakes, because you learn through the mistakes.
Yeah.
And you find yourself, you make a mistake, you know a little bit more about yourself, and you know a little bit more about what you want, and you might have a little bit more determination. And yeah, we are to hold space. We are. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big job, in and of itself, that's a big job, let alone all the other superhuman things that are being done by people like you.
About that. And also when you said about community, it's about that's a big thing that I see. There's times when a group of people may be struggling, and two different people from a group may come to me and they're complaining about things. It's not my job to go in and fix it. It's my job to say, okay, well, listen to each other. What do each of you want, and how can you move forward? Because you are the group, and you have to listen to each other and make it work for each other and still move forward in a way that you see the hub developing. And that's
Mhm.
key, is to allow them to do that.
Yeah. And it's such a different structure entirely, isn't it? Because we're just so used to having somebody give us a rule, or, like there's a policy or a guideline somewhere that you've got to follow. And this is not at all about trying to um, control it. It's about just trying to let everybody flourish. And also, that people have to, in that building of something new, there is that breaking down of old paradigm kind of relationship structures and things. So it's okay. Like when you're on the journey to go this way and your friends that you've been walking with aren't going that way, it's okay to say, I'm really sad because I have to go and do my own thing, but I'm still going to be around. I'm still going to come back to that. So having the grace in relationship to be able to pull away when you need to and still maintain respect and love within a kind of relationship is a very new experience too, I think, for a lot of us. And even if we've done it once or twice before, I think on the scale that it's happening is quite remarkable. So we're seeing a whole lot of people who can leave a relationship you know and maybe not immediately, but there's the hope for the ability to move forward because you still have a role in each other's lives.
And it's the allowing that we're all different and we don't need to conform, and
Mm,
trust that, yeah, you go that way, you don't agree with what I'm doing, but I'm going this way, and trust that if the relationship and the friendship is meant to work, then it will.
yeah.
And to be brave enough to do your thing and not worry about losing. Because what I found in the last 3 years, I have met so many amazing people. I am just blown away by how many amazing people are out there. Yeah, that I wouldn't have met if I hadn't have started this, if I
Yeah.
hadn't gone on my own path and explored and remained, had that curious mind and that determination to, there is another way, and okay, we're waiting for other people to create it, but what about if we start it? That's what is amazing. um,
Yeah.
that I may have not lost, but not see old friends as often. But oh my goodness me, I've got some amazing people in my life. Mm.
Well, that's a really, inspirational
Yes.
place to be at, isn't it? And, in the midst of what is quite horrendous and hectic energy out there at the moment.
I'm glad
So,
you mentioned that.
fortunately, if you're not operating in that realm and you're not looking too hard at it, you can kind of actually have quite a nice, peaceful existence. But I'm also aware that that's not the truth for a lot of people. But that's why things like this are important, I think. That's why the PHA is important. That's why all these new ideas and the spreading of the good news. It's like being the new missionaries.
And it's that you attract like for like. It's that, when we look at energy and frequency, there's a lot of talk of energy and frequency in healing, but as human beings, when we are more ourselves and curious about the things that we want to be curious about, we start to find our tribe and people who we really we are in sync with. And there was an interesting, we had I just want to talk about this because this was quite fascinating. Everybody in the room could sense it, and a lot of people were talking about it and messaging the next day. But we had 7 birthdays at the people connected to the Orator Hub had 7 birthdays. So we did a potluck dinner on Monday night. And it was incredible. There must have been about 30 people there. But what we all noticed as well, that there was this amazing, the energy in the room was just stunning, calm, but vibrant. And then it was that realization, oh my goodness me, we're all on the same wavelength. We're
Yeah.
all at the same frequency. And this is what it feels like. It felt amazing.
Yeah, that's incredible, isn't it? And that's also, I just want to kind of pay tribute to the fact that that's also a lot of people coming together who have been through some hard times.
Yeah.
These aren't people who've just skipped through life and turned up and it's all, rainbows and lollipops. These are people who've really put in a lot of work to be in that space and to come together, and yeah, and that should be you know, I don't know, just like a little reminder for people who feel like they're so on their own at the moment, that your people are there. It's just, you got to work through some muck to find them sometimes. But, there are now these beautiful little places you can go and you can just dip your toe, and you don't have to like everybody. You don't have to want to see them all the time, but you can make new connections and you can share what you want to, and you
Yeah,
can pull back when you want to, because that's allowed too.
exactly. And that's what it's all about. It's connection. When you've got connection, so everything else feels much easier. If there's somebody in your community or within your friends group where you really connect with and you don't have to try hard, you can just be you. That's huge, huge. And there's another one, I'll just tell you another story as well, because this has been wonderful. There's a woman who jumps on that. We have this Anam Cara call on a Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock, and it's just a drop in, and it started um through the lockdowns, but we've kept it going. And there's a small group of people that jump on every week, and it's just a place where we come for an hour how's it going? Is everything okay? Some people are really struggling with mental health issues, and some people just know that they feel alone and they can jump in this space and instantly feel like they're seen. Sorry, I've got a tickle. And there's a woman who I hope she won't mind if she watches this, she won't mind me saying, but she started creating crocheting these dolls, like these beautiful, like little people, like with hats and a pom-pom and like these matching jumpers, and they're just so wonderful. And she goes out, once she's made them, she goes out and leaves them places with a little note
Oh,
saying that I was made with love, I am filled with love, I radiate love, and I'm here for you. You can take me home. You can tell me anything that's worrying you, or you can gift me to somebody who you feel may need me. Now, this started from her feeling very lost for a lot of years and really struggling. And she thought, oh, I'll just do that because it makes me feel happy. Well, now there are so many people who are messaging in with the stories of their little um, thing that they've found, their doll or that what she's created, and it's connecting people. It's just
yeah.
such a wonderful little story, and it's brought her so much joy.
Yeah, and out of a place of feeling that herself. I just, that's the stuff, isn't it? I was talking to a friend yesterday and we were talking about the fact that over the last 5 years, a lot of the people who saw through what was already going on in the world in terms of like, people who have vested interests in making us live in whatever way or taking medicines or whatever that is, the people who saw through it quite often were the misfits in society. They're the people who didn't quite fit in with everybody else. And when I was with BFF and doing some organizing for our local group, I just noticed that there were a lot of people turning up who were people who needed to talk because they did not get connection easily with other people because they didn't fit, in all of the societal norms, and they didn't fit because they could see through things.
Mm.
And so, for me, it's been a real journey of kind of making sure that I create space for those people in my life as well. And, when something, because it is easy to think, well, this is going to be difficult, it's going to take a bit of effort. But, the rewards are that you don't have to be their person, but you can be the person that helps them to find their people. And I have such a big shout out for all the people who are square pegs and trying to get into a round hole. Because if it wasn't for you, and I think about this sometimes about how many generations past there have been people like this who have seen through what's been going on. And I mean, it's been hard enough to see through things in the last 5 years. I cannot imagine what it would have been like to be, 3 generations back and being trying to say to people things are not what they seem.
Yeah. Well,
And thank
war.
God they stayed and tried.
Yes. Well, I just think of the World War era and people seeing through that and not
Mm,
wanting to go into battle, and the amount of people that stood against them and they were shamed, and oh my goodness me, yeah,
yeah,
it's insane how long this has been going on for. Hmm.
yeah. But anyway, here we are, and we're really seeing a big change. And I hope it's just gonna, keep not just growing, but it's really amplified. I just feel like everything is happening, you
Yeah,
know, it's like it's from tens to thousands to millions very quickly.
it is, and it's exciting. Like now I just feel it. I can just sense that big shifts, a lot of people waking up, and the possibilities. Yeah,
Mm.
it's going to get easier.
Yeah, well, it already is for, that once you start to find some people around you that you can share with, that's such a huge balm for the heart.
Yeah, it is.
Well, is there anything else that you would like to say, Rachel, today before we leave this?
No, I think I think for anyone who's listening, and there's going to be many amazing people out there already doing amazing stuff, but if there's anybody listening that have has doubted what part they could play in anything, or have wanted or tempted to do something but are not quite sure, just try and play and explore. um Even if it's just holding space for somebody, like you said, some people just need to talk, some people just want a smiling face. Even
Yeah,
if it's going to the supermarket and smiling at the cashier who looks like they're having a grumpy day, it's that easy. But for those people who have always wondered what other possibilities lay ahead for them, just try, or
yeah,
start to try and find more of your tribe if you haven't already. Yeah, have
yeah.
fun. Feel a joy in your heart. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And I was just taking a quick look because I think that it's really important for people to know how to find PHA. It's really not hard. Just go and have a look.
Oh, but there's a few websites that have been created to
Yes.
distract people from finding the right website. So yeah.
That's interesting. Okay, well, but I'll get all the details from you and put it into the show notes. Um and also lay love down, like you said, go out and play. Like literally lay love down as well is another organization of just very loosely we organize, like anyone can do it in their own backyard, but you can come together, two or more anytime is going to be incredibly beneficial and incredibly powerful. But yeah, just take Rachel's advice and play and just do it, because there's so much joy to be found once you get out of your own way.
Yes.
All right, thanks, darling. It's been lovely talking to you. And
Oh
I'll
my
just stop that.